So that's what we were talking about yesterday, and we were talking about connection. Step number 1, connection. Connecting back to spirit, connecting back to activate the soul purpose. Today we're moving on to step number 2, where we want to clarify exactly how we get there, how to keep that connection, how to get it going and maintain it. We need to do some work, some homework. This is where your journal or your diary is really going to come in handy, and this is where you get to go deep. Take a deep breath and play all out. Be willing to go deep. Be willing to look at things that you find uncomfortable to look at. Be willing to accept and learn from them without judgments, without any kind of shame or blame. That's my invitation to you, and that will help you enormously. Okay? All right. In order to know who we are, we need to start with who we are not. And a lot of times that's easier because we know we don't want to be something, or we don't want to do something, or we don't. A lot of times when you say, well, what would you like to do? Many people answer, well, I really don't want to do this or that. So it's really helpful and maybe easier to start with who I am not. Now, it doesn't necessarily make it easier on us in terms of when we're going through it and trying to uncover that, but it's probably a natural place to start. And a lot of times when you start to uncover that who I am not, it becomes very dark and shadowy. Generally, it's the part we have locked away. We don't like to face it. We don't like to bring it out in the open. And that's what we use. That's when we use the sedation to keep everything down, because it can be extremely painful and fearful to face this head on. But I invite you to do that. I invite you to be courageous and bold, because I know you are, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be watching this video. I invite you to take a look at this shadow part of you. And here's some ways to do it. It involves asking a lot of questions about who I am not, okay? But in order to do that, I'd like you to have a look at things like your judgments, your projections, your limiting beliefs, those beliefs that no longer serve the purpose for you anymore, and your point of view on things. Now, I can see the struggle going on because you're scratching your head and you're shuffling your feet and you're maybe going, well, you know, I really don't have a point of view, and oh, I don't judge people, and oh, you know, all the excuses. I understand. I totally understand. It is not pleasant to necessarily consider you might have a judgment about a person. It's not easy to understand how your beliefs have anything to do with anything and why you want to change them. Now, maybe you don't want to change them all, but odds are good there are some, as I say, that are just not serving the purpose anymore. I also invite you to listen to your gut. That voice that crops up when you are questioning something that you have been taught is the absolute truth, the absolute reality. And there's that little voice in you that says, really? You're questioning it. I invite you to bring that voice to the surface now as you're going through these questions. That's how you're going to determine your judgments, your projections, your limiting beliefs, and your point of view. Simply explore. From an open heart and an open mind, explore, write it down. Nobody has to see what you're writing if you don't want them to. From there, we're going to go on to our lies. What are my lies? What are the lies I've been telling myself forever, it seems? Here are some very common ones, and you might relate to these. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to have the life that I want. I'm not good enough to take that dance class because I've got 2 left feet. I'm not good enough to have the money I deserve, to do more than just pay my bills. But I'm not good enough to have the wardrobe I want, the car I want to drive, the house I want to live in. How selfish of me to even think that. I must be thinking of others. I'm not special. I have no talents. I have nothing to offer. I'm just here to care for everybody else. I am not special. I have nothing special to give. I really invite you to challenge that. I'm unlovable. What makes you think you're unlovable? Pure spirit is nothing but love. What is going on? in your belief system that causes you to think that you are not lovable. I'm too old. I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s, I'm too old to change now. I'm too old to try. Now, I went through this a lot. I even went through this when I was in my 30s. It was a great excuse. It was a reason for not moving forward. I also remember when I was 44 pounds overweight, how a lot of people reinforced the belief that, well, you know, you might be too old to lose that weight. You're in your 40s. Much tougher to lose weight when you're in your 40s. You know, your metabolism slows down. You just can't get it off. I think you're just going to have to accept the fact that that's who you are. And I believed that for a long time. I used the I'm too old excuse to lose weight and to stop me from doing so many things. And I was only in my 40s, like I say. Who am I to be bold? Who am I to be brilliant? Who am I to have it all, to have abundance? Who am I to be loved, to be liked, to be special, to be talented? Who am I to be anything more than this dishrag that I have been for so very, very long? I invite you to look at that. And then I invite you to take this question and turn it around. Who am I not to be? Who am I not to be bold? Who am I not to be brilliant? What says that I shouldn't be brilliant, that I shouldn't be bold, that I shouldn't have bounty? Okay? Oh, this is painful. As if we haven't had enough pain, I'm going to throw some more at you. What are my secrets? What are the things inside of me that I am ashamed of, that I am angry about, that I have buried so deep that I would like to blame others for having this happen to me, or that I'm totally guilt-ridden for having brought it on myself? What are those secrets that I don't want anybody to find out? Okay? If someone was to write an article about you for the local paper, what are the 5 things, the 5 deep, dark secrets, if you will, that you would not want them to publish? Examine them, bring them out, and then look at the feelings that are generated around that. For example, one of my big secrets for years and years and years and years, I was a junk food junkie, closeted eater. This was before my weight gain. I would act healthy, I would exercise, I would be vibrant, but late at night, I would sit there with a bag of chips or a big chocolate bar or even a carton of ice cream, anything I could get my hands on. I ate and I binged and I binged and I binged. That was a secret I did not want anyone ever to find out. I kept it hidden. I thought it would destroy the image of who I thought I was, of what I was projecting to the world. What I didn't realize until much later, it was the start of a lot of problems, and it was a belief system that I held. And I had to really examine it, where that came from, and how I could undo it. And if I decided I wanted to sit down with a bag of chips at night, then I did it. And I didn't do it in private, and I wasn't ashamed of it, and I owned it. And I explored why I was doing that, and I tried to see if there was another way. Instead of eating this huge honking bag of chips, was there something else I could do? A lot of times there were. Sometimes, nah, it just felt good to sit and do that. I didn't beat myself up about it, and I didn't blame others for putting that belief or that behavior in me in the first place. But it didn't happen overnight.